Adonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru L'Adonai, Shir Chadash. Shiru L'Adonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru L'Adonai, Shir Chadash. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. A new song unto God. Shiru L'Adonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru L'Adonai, Shir Chadash. I will sing a new song unto God. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. And this is our first in-person service in a while. And I'm very happy about that. And it's good to see everyone here. And it's good to see, I know there are other people watching. And it's nice. Shabbat Shalom to you all as well. We could do another song or two, right? How about, let's do a song praising God called Romamu. And that's, you'll find that on page 427 if you need the words. And it's a good rhythmic song that will get us into the spirit. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtakavu v'har kodsho. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtakavu v'har kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romamu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romamu. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtakavu v'har kodsho. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtakavu v'har kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romamu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romamu. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtakavu v'har kodsho. Shake along, everyone. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtakavu v'har kodsho. One more verse. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romamu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romamu. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtakavu v'har kodsho. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtakavu v'har kodsho. V'hishtakavu v'har kodsho. V'hishtakavu v'har kodsho. More? Oh my goodness.
We've got a long ramp up to getting back to where we were.
Oh, okay. So we have to do about 10 songs to make up for all those.
Yes.
No, but how about, there's one I'd like to do that we don't do so often here. And we sing it in our religious school classes sometimes. A song called Lo Alecha. And I think you'll find that on page 645. And it's sort of, the words are sort of you might call it a proverb. So I think it's taken from Pirkei Avot. And in English, the words mean it is not your duty to complete the work, neither are you free to desist from it. So that's good advice. And this is a song, Lo Alecha, page 645. This is Jeff Klepper, I think, wrote the music to this. 645. I hope I'm not too muffled here.
Are you doing your mask off?
I could. Should.
Okay.
Is it all right?
Yes. But Gail, you need to put your mask on.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess I have Bima privileges here.
Yeah.
Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, lo alecha ligmor, lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, lo alecha ligmor, velo ata hibatel mimena, velo ata ben chorin, that's it, velo Ben chorin lehibatel mimena, velo ata ben chorin. Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, lo alecha ligmor, lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, lo alecha ligmor, velo ata ben chorin lehibatel mimena, velo ata ben chorin, velo ata ben chorin lehibatel mimena, velo ata ben chorin. Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, lo alecha ligmor, lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, lo alecha ligmor. All right. Would you like to join me?
All right. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
I was gonna say excitedly, we're back, but I feel like I've said this 2 or 3 other times, and then we were back, and then we weren't back. So, but I am very excited to be back for right now at least, and great to have actual live people in front of me. It makes Shabbat so much better than my just speaking to the camera. So it brings a whole dimension of community to Shabbat, which we all desperately, desperately need, because I feel like I was on the verge of becoming a total recluse. I don't know about you, but great to have you all here. And we're going to begin our service with the lighting of the Shabbat candles on pages 120 and 121 to bring in the special light of Shabbat this week. So we feel a special light for being together. So who would like to light the candles, Shabbat candles this evening? Gail, come on up. I'm gonna get this big right here.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahad lifner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam Asher Kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen, 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 amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now that we've lit the lights of Shabbat, we're going to continue as we welcome the Shabbat bride with Lecha Dodi, which you may find on page 138. And don't forget, everybody out there has shakers. Don't forget to shake along.
Lecha Dodi lekrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela Lecha Dodi lekrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad Ishmiyanu Hamyuchad Adonai echad U'shemo echad V'shemu tiferet v'litila Lecha Dodi lekrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela Lecha Dodi lekrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela. Verse 5 Itoriri, Itoriri Kiva Orei Umi Ori Uri Uri Shir Daberi Kibod Adonai Alayich Nigla Lecha Dodi lekrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela Lecha Dodi lekrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela. Last verse Boi b'shalom Aderet ba'ala Gam b'simcha Utzahola Toch emunei Am segula Boi chala Boi chala Lecha Dodi lekrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela Lecha Dodi lekrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela B'nei Shabbat nikabela.
And now that we've welcomed the Shabbat bride, we're going to continue with the next section of our service called the Shema U'Vichotah, the Shema and its blessings. And we begin with the Baruch Hu, our call to worship, on page 146. Please rise in body or spirit. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due, now and forever.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach. Baruch Adonai hamavorach. Leolam va'ed.
Page 148. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim bechokma poteach she'arim uvitvuna mishaneh itim umachalif et hazmanim umsader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or uma'avir yom umevi laila umavdil bein yom uvein laila Adonai tzvaot shemo El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Top of page 149 together. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Page 150.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu lemadita Otanu madita Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachvenu uvkumenu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei toratecha uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hem chayenu v'yorech yameinu Uvahem nege yomam valayla nege yomam valayla V'yahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael Ohev amo Yisrael
Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Now we continue on pages 152 and 153 with the Shema, the watchword of our Jewish faith. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Please be seated. Turn to page 154 as we recite the V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'vetecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shachpecha uv'kumecha ug'shartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot ben enecha uchtavtam al mezuzot betecha uvisharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We read together in the English. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God, Adonai Elohechem Emeth. Now we're going to continue on page 158 with the singing of Mi Chamocha, the song the Israelites sang when they crossed the Red Sea to freedom from Pharaoh's grip. And hopefully we can feel like we've crossed over maybe a little bit from some bad pandemic type thing to maybe a little bit more freedom this week. So let's enjoy singing Mi Chamocha.
The pandemic's grip.
From pandemic's grip, that's right.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam. Ze Eli anu v'yamaru, ze Eli anu v'yamaru. Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed.
Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praise to you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Now we continue with the Hashkivenu prayer on page 160. asking that God create a shelter of peace around us.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom v'hamidenu shamreinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom v'hamidenu shamreinu lechayim. Ushmor tzeiteinu Uvoeinu Ishtanim Shalom Me'ata v'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom v'hamidenu shamreinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom v'hamidenu shamreinu lechayim.
Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom, aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Now we continue on page 162 with the singing of Vishamru. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time, which is particularly relevant for this week because this particular prayer happens to be in this week's Torah portion. So it's got a double reason for us to sing it this evening.
And as a commemoration of that, we'd like to do a version of Vishamru that we don't do as often, a very pretty version, a lyrical version, written by Debbie Friedman. Some of you may have heard it before. I hope you'll be able to sing along as we go along through this. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam, berit olam, v'ni uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat, Shabbat, vayinafash, Shabbat, Shabbat, vayinafash. Oti le'olam. Oti le'olam.
And now we continue with the next section of our service called the Tefillah, which means the prayer, and it's the time during which we speak directly to God and thanking God for being the God of our ancestors, the God who gives us strength, and the God who brings us peace. Please rise in body or spirit. Page 164.
Anananananana Adonai, Ananananana Svatai Tiftach, Ananananana Ufi Yagid tehilatecha. Ananananananana Adonai. Anananananana Vatai Tita. Ananananana Ufi Yagi. Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Anananananana Adonai. Ananananana Vatai Tita. Ananananana Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Ananananana Adonai. Ananananana Vatai Tita. Ananananana Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Ananananana Adonai. Ananananana Vatai Tita. Ananananana Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Page 166. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'Imoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot Umevi Geula Livnei V'Nehem V'Ma'an Shemo B'Ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magein Baruch Atah Adonai Magein Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah. Page 168. Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechaye HaKol Ata Rav Lehoshia Mechalkel Chayim B'Chesed Mechaye HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim Sohomech Nohoflim V'Rofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umkayim Emunato Lishenei Afar Micha Mocha Baal Gevurot Umido Melach Melech Memihit Umkayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman Atah Hachayot Hahakol Baruch Atah Adonai Mechaye HaKol. Page 170. Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh U'Kadoshim B'chol Yom Yehallelu Chasela Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. We read together on the top of page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. We now continue with the singing of Shalom Rav, a song for peace, on page 178.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael. B'chol ed u'v'chol sha'a b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim leolam. Tasim leolam, tasim leolam.
Together at the bottom of 178. Grant abundant peace to Israel, your people forever, for you are the sovereign God of all peace. May it be pleasing to you to bless your people Israel in every season and moment with your peace. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael ba'shalom. Continue now with the Misha Beirach Get Well prayer on page 371. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. This evening we think of Alan Smilowitz, Michael Finkel, who is recovering from COVID, Benjamin Schwartz Feit, the brand new grandson of our temple president, Andy Feit, who was born a little bit too early. And we also think of all the people in Ukraine right now who are on the verge of what could be a very horrible situation. And at this time, if there are names of others you'd like us to keep in our hearts and our minds, we prepare to recite the Misha Beirach prayer. You may say their names aloud as I look around the room.
Barbara Boyle,
Ursula Daly and Lorraine Ox. David Gogan.
May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them all a complete renewal of body and spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Misha Beirach Avotinu, Mikor habracha le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Beirach imotenu, Mekor habracha la'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
And now our tradition teaches us that on Shabbat, we're not supposed to think about our problems, we're supposed to think about the joys and blessings in our lives and what we're grateful for, and as well as to send our compassion to those who need our support. So I have a few little things that I'm grateful for this week. First of all, I'm grateful that our brand new social hall is almost completely done. I'm sure it'll be done by next week, but any of you guys who went back there, it just looks fantastic, and thank you to our anonymous donor who completely paid for the whole project. It just is going to make our entire building look so much better. Somebody's at the door. So and I am also grateful that this week we had somebody who's a member of a friend of our temple community who decided to offer a fundraiser for his birthday on Facebook, and his goal was to raise $200, and he raised well over $500 so far for our community, which was completely unexpected. So thank you, if Alan, if you're watching, thank you so much. I wanted we're grateful for the birth of our temple president's grandson, Benjamin, he was born a week ago and is doing as well as can be expected at this point. And Andy, if you're watching, the Finkelman's grandson was born just as early, and now he's climbing rocks and everything else. So, so there's a lot of hope for the future. So we've all of those reasons to be grateful this evening. And does anybody else have anything to add? Anything else that they're grateful for? Mindy.
I'm grateful that Phyllis Burlow has such a wonderful cardiologist who gave an amazing speech or talk to us on Sunday on Zoom about women's heart health.
Okay, so
Information that we really needed. So I'm very happy that Phyllis has her for a doctor.
great. So Mindy is grateful for Phyllis's cardiologist.
Well, I remember Phyllis's birthday is coming up.
And Phyllis's birthday is coming up. Phyllis, it's always all about you somehow.
That's why I'm the matriarch.
That's why you're the temple matriarch, exactly. But her cardiologist gave a wonderful program for Hadassah last weekend. Any other reasons why we're grateful this evening?
Nathan's car wasn't in the driveway when the tree came down this last night.
Ooh, you.
Wow, Nathan's car was not in the driveway when the tree came down last night, as
And
opposed.
it only partially grazed the house as it came down.
And only partially grazed the house. And as opposed to Fran's tree, which came down on top of her car.
Oh,
When she's still not grateful for that.
no.
All right. Well, also for all of those reasons and more, we continue with the singing of the Shehechianu, thanking God for enabling us to reach this special moment.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. We pause for a moment of silent prayer.
And now please turn back in your prayer books to page 180. Join me at the bottom of the page for the singing of O Say Shalom. 180. O say Shalom, Bimromah, Huya say Shalom, Aleinu, Bi'al Kol Yisrael, Bimru, Bimru, Amen. O say Shalom, Bimromah, Huya say Shalom, Aleinu, Bi'al Kol Yisrael, Bimru, Bimru, Amen. O say Shalom, Bimromah, Huya say Shalom, Aleinu, Bi'al Kol Yisrael, Bimru, Bimru, Amen. O say Shalom, Bimromah, Huya say Shalom, Aleinu, Bi'al Kol Yisrael, Bimru, Bimru, Amen.
Well, Shabbat Shalom again, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
I just wanted to say a few words about this week's Torah portion. And actually, there is so much in this week's Torah portion that there are like 3 weeks worth of material at least. So much happens. It's incredible, not just Vishamru being in there. But so this week's Torah portion is called Ki Tisa, and it starts with the Jews being counted. And then it goes on to Moses and Aaron explaining to the Israelites about the different holy vessels which were to be constructed or placed in the tabernacle, and then 2 artisans are hired or appointed by God in order to construct the tabernacle itself. And then with all that, I had to imagine for myself what it must have been like for the Israelites to have been at the bottom of Mount Sinai, just receiving all of these instructions. They had been on this journey for I wanted to say God knows how long. God does know how long. and so they were there, and they had no iPads, they had no cell phones, they had no computers. What could they have been doing, just like sitting there that whole time, day after day after day? And Moses went up to the top of the mountain to commune with God, and they were so bored, and they were so frustrated, and they couldn't take it anymore. They just had enough. So a small group approached Aaron, and this is a reason why I nearly didn't want to name my son Aaron. They approached Aaron and said, we want to make a golden calf, a golden image, because we want to worship this idol, just as the way we did when we were back as slaves in Egypt. And so Aaron said, okay, and so they all brought their gold and silver, and they shaped this golden calf. Meanwhile, Moses is up on the mountain, and God gives Moses a little heads up. Something is not right. There's something not right in Denmark down there. So Moses comes down with the 2 tablets that God had given him, and sees what the Israelites have done, and how they've reverted back to the ways of Pharaoh and the ways of Egypt, the ways of slavery. And in his anger, he smashes the 2 tablets, and then God punishes the Israelites. And then Moses goes back up the mountain, and what I just wanted to focus on in all of this is it's in Exodus 34, verses 6 and following, that after all this, all the punishment, like all the horrible things the Israelites did, God came down in a cloud and stood with Moses there and proclaimed the name Lord. And this is a paragraph that's so important that it's actually in some of the Torah services, the liturgy for some of the Torah services. Vayikra Adonai Adonai El Rachum V'Chanun Erech Apayim V'Rav Chesed V'Emet. Basically, the God passed before him and proclaimed, the Lord, a God compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in kindness and faithfulness, extending kindness to the 1000th generation, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin. Yet God does not remit all punishment, but visits the iniquity of fathers upon children and children's children. So basically, these are the 13 attributes of mercy that God wanted to present to the Israelite people after that horrible infraction that they had encountered. And then Moses received the second 2 commandments still in this week's Torah portion, and brought them down to the Israelites. And there's a midrash that says that after Moses brought down the second set of tablets, that he put them together with pieces of the broken commandments in the tabernacle, and the Israelites traveled with both the whole commandments and the broken commandments throughout their journey. And the question is, why did the Israelites travel with the broken commandments? And I think it's to remember that we're all broken. We remember that we're all broken. We all need God's compassion. We all need God to be merciful towards us, as well as to know the justice of God. So God's 2 main attributes are a God of justice and a God of compassion. We need to remember both parts, both halves. And so I think about us during this pandemic and how hard it's been for us to maintain ourselves the way we want to be maintained, to be the best that we could be, and a lot of us have slipped into bad habits or slipped off of our maybe our goals in life. But this Torah portion tells us that even though we've been on this long horrible journey through years of this pandemic now, that God is gracious to us, God is merciful towards us. We need to remember that and give ourselves a break and hope that we can feel God's compassion within us to move forward in a way that we can feel good about ourselves and good about our future and good about our hopes for better times ahead. So all of that was in this week's Torah portion, and I hope this gives us, actually the Torah portion ends with Moses coming down from the mountain, and the Torah portion tells us that Moses had a special glow. His face was glowing from having encountered God on top of the mountain. And so my wish for all of us is that we feel that glow of God and God's mercy that we can bring with us today and into the future. So Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And I'd now like to continue with the Elenu on page 586. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Please be seated.
Please join me at the top of page 588.
שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו ככתוב בתורתו וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים hu ha'elohim b'shamayim mima'al v'aretz mitachat enod. And please turn to page 591 as we sing together Bayom Hahu.
Get their shakers ready.
And get your shakers ready. This is our version that we like to do lately.
V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai v'melech v'chol ha'aretz Bayom Hahu Adonai echad kemo echad V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai v'melech al kol ha'aretz Bayom Hahu yihye Adonai echad u'shemo echad Bayom Hahu yihye Adonai Adonai echad u'shemo echad Bayom Hahu yihye Adonai echad u'shemo echad V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol ha'aretz Bayom Hahu yihye Adonai echad u'shemo echad echad u'shemo echad echad u'shemo echad.
The introduction to the Kaddish prayer for those who have died may be found on page 599. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. We recall Gina Rippon and William Sullivan, who died during this past month, and we add to their names the names of those whose yard sites or anniversary of whose deaths occur this week. Esther Burlow, Donald Bloomfield, Ruth Kovitz, Arnold Grossman, Shirley Hanflig, Sylvia Rippon, Pearl Rubin, Helen M. Safford, Norman Simon. At this time, if there are names of others you'd like us to keep in our hearts and our minds, we prepare to recite the Kaddish prayer. You may say their names aloud or in your hearts as I look around the room. Zichronam livracha, may all of their memories be for a blessing. We rise in body or spirit to recite the Kaddish prayer on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei rabbah v'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayei uvyomei chon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael v'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mivarach le'olam olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudasha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to our country, to all Israel and all the world, as we say together, Amen. Please be seated. Now I just wanted to say, once again, it's great to be back. Great to see you. And I have to also give a little credit to Val, because my little Devar Torah was based on a conversation I had with you the other week. during which you told me not to be so hard on myself. So yeah, I have your little voice inside me, so thank you for that. I'll keep replaying. But I wanted to extend all of our condolences to Sam on the death of his wife, Gina, this past week?
A week ago Monday.
A week ago Monday. So all of our hearts go out to you and you and your sons and your family. I don't know, are there any other important announcements? Yes. Grandmother of Dahlia.
Yeah, grandmother of Dahlia would like to say that I have the script bag here. I know a lot of this room are the regulars who contact me when they need things, but it's mostly Stop and Shop. But if anyone needs any other gift cards, please take a peek. Main thing is to say, look for the Purim bag mailing. It's a little late, but it's went to the post office yesterday, so hopefully we'll be arriving in your mailboxes soon.
Thank you. So what Fran said, I have to interpret for the camera here. She's got the script bag here we have a program called Script, and she just put the Purim bag mailing for all temple members into the mail, and because every year we do a program called we have a Purim bag fundraiser, and people contribute to this fundraiser, and every temple member family receives a bag, because it's a tradition on Purim to give mishloach manot, to give gifts of candy and other goodies to each other. It's like a reverse Halloween. So we're going to have a special morning. Well, we should discuss this. March 20th is going to be a day when we can come and get the bags. And the religious school is going to do a Purim spiel. You're going to hear more about that later. So anyway, I wanted to thank you all for being here. We're going to continue with the Kiddush.
One other thing.
Yes.
Speaking of religious school, looks like starting March 6th, after 2 weeks of vacation, they will be back in person. So
Yep,
for families
religious school's
that
gonna
might
be back
watching.
religious school's gonna be back in person, on the Sunday after religious school vacations, that's March 6th. So hopefully things will keep going in the right direction, we'll be able to open more and more. So, we're going to continue now with the Kiddush on page 122 and 123. Any takers to come on up and lead the Kiddush? The drinking of wine is not mandatory. All right, Sam, please rise. Just read down here.
The heaven and the earth were finished in all their array. On the seventh day God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodesho b'yahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher litziat mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, b'yahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh hashabbat. Amen.
L'chaim.
I am.
Thank you. And why don't the Finkelmans come on up and lead us in the motzi? Because Ellen baked today. It's been a long time since we've had Ellen's challah. And over here, so you're in view of the camera. Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Thank you very much. Please be seated.
And please join in the closing song for our service. I think we'll do Al Shlosha Devarim, which you'll find the words page 642, on three things the world stands. And we'll do a contemporary version that we do sometimes.
Al Shlosha Devarim. Al Shlosha Devarim. Ha'olam omed. Al Shlosha Devarim. Ha'olam omed.
Again.
Al Shlosha Devarim. Al Shlosha Devarim. Ha'olam omed. Al Shlosha Devarim. Ha'olam omed. Al HaTorah, Yal HaAvodah, Yal Gimilut Chasadim. Al HaTorah, Yal HaAvodah, Yal Gimilut Chasadim. Al Shlosha Devarim. Al Shlosha Devarim. Ha'olam omed. Al Shlosha Devarim. Al Shlosha Devarim. Ha'olam omed. Al Shlosha Devarim.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. And I believe we have a little oneg to go. Is that correct? Thank you, Ellen, for sponsoring our oneg to go. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Exit music.